Our state has some incredible problems. My name is Lynn Hinderrocker. I'm here to talk about that with you and talk about the trends that have shaped this state and dragged us in one direction or another. We're not really we're not realizing the dream we had way back in the early 2000s or even around 2008 or 9 or 10. My name is Lynn Hinderrocker. Welcome to WowBiz Nebraska. We're going to get it on right now. Are you a next level thinker? Do you know how to get to the next level? In fact, what does it really mean to go to the next level? Every business owner I know is struggling with that question. Some of them are cynical. Some of them think it doesn't even exist. Others are like, I'm on my way. We're going to the next level. We're going to talk about that here today on WowBiz Nebraska. I'm Lynn Hinderrocker, and I couldn't get to the next level if it weren't for our friend Bruce Arendt.
I think you might be able to.
Well, I don't think so. You'll accelerate the pace of the ascension. All right. Anyway, thanks for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
And we're going to talk about this very interesting topic, and I have a little metaphor that I think will help us understand what the challenge really is all about. All right. Then we're going to talk about our new website, the middle of the show, and some classes that are coming out of the site. And then on the back end, we're going to continue to talk about this next level. It's such a big idea, and of course, if you can't think about next level strategy and development now, when else would you think about it?
This is the time.
This is the time. Yeah. So, should I tell my story and share this story with you?
Does it start with once upon a time?
Once upon a time, back in the day, when I was a little kid, I mean really a little kid, every Saturday morning it was all about cartoons.
Sure, yeah.
And I'd have my jammies with my feet in them, and I would go down to, we had a little TV room, and I'd watch black and white TV obsessively every Saturday morning.
Yeah.
That was reserved for my thing.
Oh, yeah.
And during that period of time, my mother, this was every week, it went just like this, clockwork, and she would bake fresh cookies out in the kitchen. Right, for the entire week.
That's great.
Yeah, it was very good. And I'd sit in there and watch Roy Rogers and all these shows, and the smell of the cookies would waft through the house.
Nothing better.
So anyway, at a certain point, it was all done, and the cookies were in the cookie jar there on the counter, and she went upstairs to clean and so on, and I was down there by myself with Roy Rogers and me.
And the smell of cookies.
The smell of cookies, which I've since learned has some kind of a direct impact on your hormonal serotonin. It makes you feel good. I don't know. Anyway, so here's what I did. I wanted these cookies, so I would sneak out to the kitchen, right? And I would find a little stool, a little stubby stool that my grandpa made for me when I was first born, I think. And this stool, you never see them like this anymore. It had 3 stubby legs, all right, that supported the stool. And I would get there, and I was always, being clandestine, and I'd reach out, get out to the kitchen, and put them down there on the counter, and climb up on the stool. And all of a sudden, right, I'd be up easily at the counter, and I could extend my arms all the way, and I could grab that cookie jar.
Within range.
Yeah, it was because prior to that, I just couldn't get up high enough to reach the cookie jar. Now, everything you do that is profound later on in a different context. And so here we are talking about next level thinking. And so most of you are wondering, how could I get a little stool that had 3 stubby legs? How could I get up theoretically to a higher level in terms of how I think about our business? Because you've got some important questions to ask. Are we going to reinvent ourselves as this pandemic subsides? Are we going to continue with all employees remote working? I mean, all this stuff.
All of those answers are in the cookie jar.
In the cookie jar. But no, actually, let's back up now for a second. I think that next level thinking revolves around a simple idea, which is most of us spend our days focusing on problems, putting out fires, and we're distracted and exhausted.
I was just going to say it's very distracting to moving forward or forward thinking.
Right. And uncovering opportunity.
Right.
Discovering underserved or unserved at all market segments who could somehow be using your product with a little bit of twist or something. Yeah.
Because you're too busy putting out some silly little fire.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. And so that is what I think next level thinking consists of. Now we're actually going to segue into the gist of this entire show. Right?
Did you ever get caught?
Never got caught. Ate way too many cookies. Of course, my mother, she knew the whole game.
Oh, yeah.
Probably. She looked and said, "Where'd they all go?"
I cut all the hair off of one of my stuffed animals, my plush animals, because I was going to get a haircut. I clearly remember hiding under my bed, and there was hair all over the bed. I remember thinking, if I hide under here, she'll never find me.
You're so clever. Yeah. Well, anyway, so the three stubby legs, right?
Okay.
The things that support us, that enable us to operate at a higher level.
Okay.
Those are, a great deal of research have gone into this, by the way.
Okay.
Those stubby legs are vision,
okay,
having a sense of vision for the company, fusion, and passion. So
okay,
personal and emotional component,
okay,
right?
Okay.
And you know, you can run a company and generate profit without having any of those in your life. You don't need vision, fusion, and passion to get by, bank a few deals, pay your employees, and go home and fall into bed.
Right.
But that's not next level operation.
But you're
right?
probably not going to really
No,
take
you're
it
not going to
anywhere.
take off. That's right. So the ability to have these three components very prominent in the way you think and operate, that's the key to get up to the counter and reach for those cookies. Mm-hmm. Now, here's the question that we're not going to talk about at this moment, but the question is, what's in your cookie jar?
Yeah.
What's in your cookie jar? Would you love to be able to pull out and say, give that to your banker, your investors, your employees, your spouse, and say, look at this, we did this.
And I think that would be a great exercise for anybody to think about, of identifying the cookies in their cookie jar, just as an exercise of.
Well, I mean, the question is, what are we aiming for? What is our intention?
Yeah, why are we here?
Why are we here?
Yeah.
What is the purpose? And how does our imagination work with that purpose so that we're actually imagining this outcome, right? This because we never get to manifest tangible form unless it's in here somewhere.
Yeah.
You know that as a creative man. All right. So let's back up now and talk about these three legs, right? One is, first and foremost, vision, right? So what do you think about, you've been through a variety of employers and different companies and so on. What do you think vision really is? And what's the implied, what's the role of it?
Well, I was always, and I've helped write the mission statements and vision statements and all for corporations. I've done that many times.
Yes.
And actually, I always felt like they were too cumbersome.
Yeah.
They were too complex. They were too unattainable, probably.
Yeah.
I think vision needs to be a very clear-cut, simple target.
Yeah.
I think that, for me, if I'm going to respond to it, I don't want some wordy, ethereal statement on a plaque somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say, this is what the vision is. Boom, boom, boom.
So you think a vision statement could be, I'm just going to make something up right now, to do $1.5 million in volume and lower our operating costs by 15% by 2024. Do you see that as a vision?
You know what? I don't see that so much as a vision as a company goal. I think a vision has got to be something that is a little bit more, something that people can embrace within the company, that they want to be a part of.
Right.
And I know not every company is on a philanthropic mission. I understand that.
No.
But I do think that people have to feel like they are going to be a part of something bigger, and the vision is something that gives them a sense of purpose.
Yeah, no, I think you're onto something right there. And it is interesting, all of you that own businesses or near that position right now, you should be asking yourself, do I have the capacity right now to inspire? Because I think vision has to inspire employees.
I think that's the crux of it. It's got to be inspiring.
It's got to be inspiring, and yet it can't be phony, pretentious, fluffy.
Pie in the sky.
Pie in the sky.
Yeah.
I mean, so it's, I always go back to listening to JFK.
Yeah.
When he was talking about the moonshot.
Oh,
he says, you're not going to believe this. I'm paraphrasing. This is a big thing for us, but we are going to be on the moon. And we're going to make it by, I think it was the next year, the end of the decade.
Yeah.
Right. And people came together around that.
Right.
Even though they looked at each other and said, can we do this? But it was just enough of a stretch that people said, we're going to have to do things we've never done before to get to that.
Yeah.
And take some risks and, whatever. But it seems like, theoretically, I guess it could be possible. All right. And that's a good vision. I think it has to just exceed our immediate grasp.
It's got to be just beyond the reach. Well, not beyond reach, but it's got to be at the tips of your fingers.
Yes, exactly right. And then it's got to be expressed in such a way that it doesn't look, we talked before about putting some cheap plaque on the wall. We don't want to do that, right?
No.
So here's one thing that I have to say, and then we'll go into our halftime show, is when you're under stress and you're working with other people in the business and somehow you're doing stuff together, and you don't know what to do. You've reached a point, should I hop on the plane and go see the client out in Boston, or should I stay here and work with the team and try to get through this difficulty that we're in right now?
Right.
All right. That's when vision counts, right? Because if the vision should imply, for instance, that we're going to trust each other more than normal. Mm-hmm. We're not going to be looking over each other's shoulders. I'm just crafting something right now. It doesn't have to be this, but I'm just saying, if that's the case, then you got to look at these people and say, I trust you to solve this problem. We've gotten to this point. We need to do this or that. Right. I have to go connect with the customer. Yeah. And I'm not going to stay here and watch you guys. I'm going to go do my business with the customer and trust you to move this thing through.
Yeah. Trust is a huge part of it.
Trust is a huge part of it. And the notion of, and I'd love to do a seminar about this, you've gotten there when employees feel like they're an owner, when they approach business as if it were their business.
Yeah. And they're coming to you or to one another with ideas and with solutions.
And you honor them.
Yeah.
You're receptive.
If you honor
you're interested
anyone,
in that.
you've got to honor
That's right.
employees.
And occasional bonuses and things like that
sure.
when they uncover some financial value and so on. I think that's those would be an example. If you have a workable vision, that's what's happening. Yeah. And I also think it's reasonable to recraft the vision occasionally.
I think you have to
tweak it. Given the changing nature of the industry you're in and so on.
It doesn't have to be written in stone.
No.
But it should be flexible enough that you could adjust that to fit.
Yeah. So we've got vision. That's the first stubby stool leg, and after this we're gonna go on and talk about the two others, which would be fusion, which is a fantastic word to discuss innovation and product development and all that, that kind of stuff. And then of course the deep core passion and what that really means. And so we're gonna talk about that shortly.
Okay.
I want to thank you, Bruce Aaron, for being a great helper here on WowBiz Nebraska. I couldn't get through this show without you, and I appreciate you being here very much.
Thank you.
Every single thing I say sounds better when you digest it and spit it back at me. I don't know why that is, but I love that and I appreciate that greatly. So why don't you chat with me for 2 seconds right now about growth dynamics.
It's a new site. I've been onto it.
Yeah.
And we were gonna talk about these classes.
Yes.
This is something that's new on here. Why don't you go ahead and explain what there's 6 classes that I saw on the site.
There are 6 classes, that's right. I'm going to see if I can quickly come up with them and develop. I probably can't do them off the top of my head, but they were quite a lot of variety.
Oh, yeah.
And
strategic thinking, I think.
Strategic thinking for younger folks, mid-level people, team leaders that have shown promise, but they're not in the executive suite.
Right.
And the gap between their daily operational stuff and the executive suite is the fact that they don't know what strategic thinking even is. Mm-hmm. Right? So somebody's got to explain. This is like an accelerated MBA class with a little bit of passion and fun thrown in. But what is strategy? Because you cannot lead a company unless you understand strategy.
Yeah, and it helps to have people on board who understand it along with you.
Right. So that's one class. Another class is completely different, focused on, I'd say, real estate people, entrepreneurs, insurance salespeople, and that is personal branding.
Yeah, that's huge.
It's huge. I'm actually talking to a clothing store here in town. I mentioned this before, about people who need to redefine how they are, what their package is, what they stand for, what their little elevator speech is, how they look, their values. I love that stuff. I like people who, they say, well, I'd like to wear double-breasted suits all the time and drive a red Cadillac CTS. Can you help me with that? And I say, yes, I can, but what I really want to know is, what's going on deep down inside, and how has that changed in the last few years. Let's find out who you really are so that you can project your brand authentically. Anyway, so there's that. There was another one that I think is the core of the whole deal, which is what I'll call strategic transformation and disruption. You know, now this is senior level stuff, right? Because we know the pandemic has disrupted our normal operating system. It's not clear what our plan should be.
So is it helping people think through how to navigate a disruption?
Yes, how to navigate, probably have, you know, plan B and a plan C, you know, flexibility so that they're comfortable saying, well, no, we've got a plan right here, we're going to stick with the plan, and, you know, well, that doesn't really work anymore. You've got to actually have a say, well, we knew that if this happened, if we had a competitor come into this market, they used artificial intelligence to communicate with our customers, we were going to go this way, we better get going now. We need to be operational in 10 days on that. Nimble.
Yeah, nimble. Light on your feet.
Keyword. And in the past, it would have been, well, take 6 months and figure out how we're going to do that.
So are these classes then for individuals or for
Some of them are for like personal branding.
Okay.
That'd be an individual thing.
Okay.
I find small classes with executive teams most productive.
Right.
You know, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people, to me, is the ideal amounts, because then they can react to each other.
Right.
And they can't hide not especially not when I'm running a class. Anyway, so there's that. And what I also like to do is say, hey, there's a Zoom version of this, and then there's a live face-to-face version of this.
Sure.
And
well, I think that sounds like it'd be, especially at this time, valuable.
Yes.
I mean,
absolutely. The thing is, number one, there are other people offering various things, various projects and programs. And you know, it's really tough these days to get people to just stop for a minute and say, now let me think, how would that help me, and who is this guy, et cetera. It seems like life is rushing past us with such force, and it's so odd because during quarantine there's a lot of sitting around. We're not doing
but
a
at
lot.
the same time, people feel like they're in fight or flight. You know,
That's right.
You know, and so they need. It would be valuable to be able to kind of take a minute and sit down and think
figure out where am
through.
I at right now?
Right.
Where do I need to be? And what is the appropriate teaching style that I'm comfortable with? That's another thing, you know. There are some that are academics, others that are intellectuals, others that are kind of salesy type guys. And you got to find a style that you feel comfortable with for sitting there for a couple hours.
Right.
Yeah, so I fit everybody. I'm chameleon it, so. All right, so that's Growth Dynamics. Growth Dynamics was spelled with an X and then .org. Right on the home page, kind of scroll down on that home page and you'll see 6 classes and courses. If you're a learner, I'm going to quote now the former Peter Senge, brilliant man. He's passed away, and he said, your only ability to be the dominant player in your industry is your ability to learn.
Huh.
That was the thing.
That's deep.
That's deep and true.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for chatting with me about those courses, and I will be promoting them online, and hopefully people will sign up and we can make some real headway with them, because it always has to be inside. You know, I have a very interesting book at home that says you can't teach a person to ride a bicycle in a seminar. All right? This is a very interesting point that we make. A lot of us who like to talk, we just get here and sit here and we'll talk and I'll talk and you'll love it, you know. And that's not really the way.
There's got to be some interaction.
Some coaching and some interaction. All right. So let's go on to back to the cookies, right? Back to the cookie jar.
A sip of water.
Absolutely. So we've talked about vision. We're here on WowBiz Nebraska. I'm Lynn Hinderwalker with Bruce Arndt. We're talking about one of the most important ideas you've ever had in the recent past, and that is how to move up to a second level, a little bit higher level. I'm not talking about your operational systems, processing, not talking about the technology, not talking about supply, distribution, all that. We're talking about vision, we're talking about fusion, and we're talking about passion.
Okay.
And we've talked about vision already. So fusion, you know, in 2002, I came across fusion. Did you hear about that?
No.
I think I told you that story once. And I became so enamored of it, of the notion of mixing ingredients and then coming up with a new product. Mixing features from this product and this electronic product, all of a sudden you have this.
Chocolate and peanut butter.
Right, all that.
Reese's.
Fusion.
Right.
And then I said, well, wait a minute, you can go to the next level and you have people, like organizational fusion.
Huh.
Right? Maybe we just had 2 contractors and a couple freelancers. Now we have 5 or 6 people. Now we have a new show, you see. And their involvement and so on, it kind of keeps it fresh and new and exciting, right?
Interesting, yeah.
Very interesting. Well, but we're not done. There's idea fusion, all right? There's idea fusion, where people say, hey, what about this thought? And then we have this concept over here, and what if we put them together? Urban naturalism would be a great example
Yeah, it would.
of fusion. Right? Organotech. Now this is
Explain Organotech.
Organotech is a word that describes wearables, like a coat, jacket, glasses, just anything that has a sensor, and then it changes its performance relative to your body, how many steps you've walked today.
Huh.
You see, it's a big deal. That's a very huge trend. I'll never forget when I heard about this first thing. The Army, the military, contracted to develop a coat, an outer garment, that soldiers could wear to climb up like Mount Everest and do some military exercise.
Right.
And regular clothing just wouldn't do it, right? And so they had batteries. They built batteries into them and different little wires that would heat up, and that was the first wearable that I'd ever heard of that was tied to technology. And I thought the word Organotech, right? It's organic because it's your body, but it's technology. And now I see all kinds of things like little cameras on your glasses.
Yeah.
So that's intellectual fusion.
Interesting.
Yeah. Anyway, so fusion. Somebody says, why is fusion part of the vision, fusion, passion formula? So we'll just cut to the chase. You've got to be developing new products and services all the time. If you want to lead the game, you've got to come out of the box every few months, with something new, right? That's why Nebraska is so strong. We got a fresh new idea.
So
right?
fusion provides whole new platforms for people.
A whole new platform, whole new idea. That's what people want. Right. They want a new and better product or whatever.
Okay.
Sometimes you can blend features of existing products. But that's the whole concept there, is just pulling things. You break everything down, then you put it back together again and say, do we have a market segment out there that could use this? I'm thinking so.
I'm guessing in a lot of instances, once it's done, people look at it and go, why didn't we think of that earlier? 'Cause
Yeah.
it just is common sense. It makes sense.
And it always comes out of breaking down into component parts and then putting them back together in a different configuration.
Huh.
And then rebranding them, something like that.
Right.
So when you understand the power of fusion, or you could say, let's bring these other guys in, or let's bring the Rotary Club guys in, and we'll get their feedback, and we'll just circulate and hang out and talk about some businessy things for an hour or 2 hours. And out of that, maybe we'll get some cool ideas.
Yeah. Even one idea would be worth it.
Yeah, fusion.
Yeah,
babe.
something.
All right, so then you got that. Now you have a new product, and an innovative feel to things. And then, of course, we get to passion. Now, let me ask you this, because I don't want to have a cliched response to this.
Okay.
What is passion? Why is it so important in this particular formula? Thinking of different personality types and different cultures now.
To me, and I can only speak for myself, passion is the unseen driver behind all of this. I mean, when I started my company, it was really based on passion. It really was.
Oh, yeah.
And if I wouldn't have had passion for it, I wouldn't have lasted a month.
Now, so it's a deep
It's a
feeling
heartfelt
that you're on track.
Really. Yeah, you're a conviction that this is what you need to do.
Yes.
And this is where, you don't know how you're going to get there necessarily, but this is a path you want to be on to
Have you ever known somebody that has passion, they want to do something, but they just can't figure out how to get from A to Z. We don't know all the steps or whatever, and so they stop. They just don't do it because they haven't figured out how to pull it off. Huh? What do you think about that?
I think that happens to a lot of people. I think that's more common than the other, where, I think it's too easy to give up because you get discouraged.
Yeah.
It's confusing.
It's very bad.
But if you just stay on, my brother and I, we used to be into biking a lot, and we would talk about you have to stay on the pedals. If you're on a hill,
Yeah.
if you just stay on the pedals, you're going to do it. But you can't.
Bruce, let me
get
ask you
off.
this. Is it easier for one type of person to generate passion? Can any personality type be a passionate employee who loves their work and loves it? Or is it easier for certain people to become passionate?
I would have to think it's easier for certain
people, certain personality types.
Yeah, I would guess.
Okay,
I don't know.
all right. I'm not sure. I just wanted
I don't
your
know.
opinion.
Yeah, I don't know.
We'll pretend you're the expert. So what? Hey, listen, before we go, thank you so much. Vision, fusion, and passion, it's wonderful. So it's the way to go to the next level.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm gonna throw out some phrases,
Okay.
some little 3-second things, and I want you to say 5 if it's an awesome thing that you would tell somebody and expect something to happen, and 1's like leaves me cold. Are you ready?
Okay, so I rate each one of these?
You're going to
5?
rate each one of these on a
5.
scale of 1 to 5
Okay.
in terms of if you're going to motivate somebody like you, only they're in a different situation, but somebody you can relate
So
to.
does it strike me? Does it hit home?
Does it hit home? Is it something you'd repeat and say, I'm telling you this? Okay, you ready?
Okay.
First one, difficulty creates opportunity. 1 to 5.
5.
5? Well, you feel strong.
Yeah, I do.
Number 2, you can thrive in times of loss.
Boy, that's tough because sometimes you're devastated by loss.
No excuses, no excuses. 1 to 5.
3.
3, reinvent. Here's the key now. I'm you and I'm talking to some that you really want to say. Reinvent what people want. 1 to 5. Reinvent what people want.
I'd say 2.
2,
Yeah.
not the strongest on that.
No.
Keep your finger on the pulse of pop culture. Hurry along.
3.
Find a way to make sense of all the noise. Find a way.
4.
Accept that the world never returns to normal. Accept that.
4.
4, the only thing slowing you down are the rules you need to break.
4.
Woo! Small decisions can have a profound impact.
5.
You agree heavily.
Yeah.
Last one, Charles Darwin. It's not the strongest of the species that survives, nor the most intelligent, well, that leaves you out because you're a very intelligent guy, but rather the one most adaptable to change.
Oh, that's a 5.
That's a 5?
Yeah.
All right. Bruce said it. That's reality. My name is Lynn Hinderrocker at WowBiz Nebraska. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We appreciate you being here. Great job. We'll see you next time on WowBiz Nebraska. It's always fun. It's a breakthrough. Go to the next level. We'll see you next time. Thanks.